Good morning. Good morning, everyone. GM, and welcome to another episode of FOMO Hour. Today is Tuesday, July 1st, 2025. Q3. It's here. Man, Q2 kind of flew by. Maybe it flew by. I don't know. But man, what a Monday yesterday was. Arguably one of the biggest days for crypto in months, maybe years. Robinhood goes full crypto mode, unleashes a slew of new crypto product updates, all on Ethereum. Tokenized stocks going live on Solana. Staking ETFs are coming, and yet our beautiful crypto prices are down this morning. So the question is, are we in for more summer chop, or are we going to break out soon? We're going to break it all down on today's show. No Farouk. He is at an event in Cannes today. I wish him the best for that. He should be back tomorrow. But we got Mando in the house. We got Logan in the house. Boys, Jim, how you doing? Mando.
I was just very young.
Oh, we lost him. I'm sure we will get him back.
I don't know what happened there. He was very yellow and then just disappeared.
It was mid-word. That looked involuntary. All right, we might have him back.
Sorry, I was very yellow there for a minute. I think I've fixed it slightly.
A little bit.
How you guys doing?
Doing
My
well.
fellow stock market investors.
Yes. Big stock market guy yesterday. I made a stock market trade yesterday. I can't wait to talk about it.
Did you actually? Wow.
I did.
We are so ruined. Ruined. If Tyler's migrated to trading penny stocks, it's over. Pack it up. Short every single meme.
If you're in the soul trenches, pivot to Charles Schwab. Logan, GM, how you doing?
Hey, good morning. Doing well. Glad to be back. Wimbledon, big tennis week. Next couple of weeks. I mean, temperatures have dropped to like reasonable temperatures. You can actually exist and not feel sweaty. So I'm doing pretty good.
Well, if folks notice that I'm sweating,
you're a big tennis guy.
Yeah. Yep.
Awesome. That's cool. Do you play, or are you just like a big fan?
I do not play. I never played. Just a big fan of the sport. Yeah.
Who's like?
We keep losing man. For folks listening, I think Logan is the biggest tennis fan that I know. To the point where he's watching not just the majors, but the middle of the road tournaments across male and female. Logie, what's the Wimbledon Alpha? Give us a pick.
Man, I think Alcaraz's draw, I don't know if you watched yesterday or folks watched, of course, a little sweaty for Alcaraz in a five-setter with Fonini, but the draw just feels really cakey. I'd have to take a look at the lines again. When I wrote the article last week based on the MYRIAD market, of which there is a men's singles Wimbledon champ market on MYRIAD, there was like a small edge on Sinner. Actually, the Alcaraz line was like pretty appropriate on MYRIAD. I'd have to take a look again, but the draw just feels. I'm guessing this is so. Sinner's playing right now. He was up 2-0. I'm guessing this is probably quite in line with the market. Like traditional sports books. I mean, Alcaraz around 42%. That's probably where he would have been, or where he should have been, based on those, like the DraftKings line, for example. I don't see anybody getting in his way. A lot of seeds already out. They could see Alcaraz Sinner in the finals again, and I think he'd still have a pretty distinct advantage just given the surface.
So you heard it here first. Logie says slam Alcaraz to win Wimbledon.
You have a favorite at the moment?
I actually am a little bit of a Sinner homer over Alcaraz. So the French Open was a little devastating for me.
What do you think of all the drug stuff? Do you think he did it?
I don't think it had really any effect. I don't know. The story is a little suspect. There, we lost him again. The story is a little suspect. The trainer without gloves kind of massaging him, but innocent until proven guilty. They said it didn't make any, it was too little substance to make any noticeable impact to his game. So served his time. Let him play.
I'm being kicked out of the stream every few seconds, so I don't know what's going on.
Yeah,
it just says error and logs me off, and I'm running a casino in the back, so like it's not my internet. I don't know what's going on with StreamYard at the moment.
We'll try to fight through it.
Yeah.
You missed Logan admit that he's a center homer, so he's reverse jinxing Alcaraz here with his prediction. Yeah. So take it with a grain of salt. Well, folks, we're talking about more than just tennis today. What are we talking about? We'll get into it with Mando's market report. Stocks hitting all-time highs yesterday. Crypto's still down. Elon's latest speaking out against the big, beautiful bill. Jerome Powell still talking about higher inflation. Sol staking ETF approved is going live tomorrow. Tom Lee in that Bitminer stock soaring. Robinhood, arguably the biggest story of the day, months, perhaps of the year. A handful of crypto products. They are going deep. Jupiter's launching X stock trading. Nikita Beer joining X as head of product, plus more. Before we dive in, shout out to our partners. First up, Wallet Connect. Wallet Connect is the connectivity network shaping the future of on-chain UX. If you've connected to a Web3 app, you've seen Wallet Connect, that blue logo. It's everywhere. An icon of trust in crypto, as recognizable as Visa at the checkout. If you want to learn more, follow at Wallet Connect on X and Telegram to stay ahead of what's next. And Kraken Pro gives active traders exactly what they need: deep liquidity, full customization, and 350 plus trading pairs. Build your own layout with drag and drop modules and trade seamlessly across desktop or mobile. Go to pro.kraken.com and trade without trade-offs. And soon on Kraken, if not already, you'll be able to trade not only crypto, but those tokenized stocks, which I'm sure we'll get into later today. It looks like Mando's connection might be bad. So while we wait for him to perhaps get that fixed, I'll do my best impression. Oh, he's back. We're going to give this...
We're going to try a different browser. So can you hear me okay?
Yeah, it actually sounds a little better.
Wow. Firefox for the win.
All right, we'll give it a go. Sims, let's get the music.
Who is the man, macro daddy of the land? Can you dig it?
GM, everyone. We are back. Back lower. It feels like Bitcoin is holding up okay, but the most other things have drifted lower on the back of this. So Bitcoin and ETH holding up okay. That rally in Solana is kind of reversed, interestingly. Hit 158 or maybe even 159 yesterday. It's now down at 148. So maybe people is what we spoke about with people reading through to if this doesn't end up being a super bullish ETF launch, you might get a bit of a dump. But I would have said, even with that, like the other headlines around tokenized trading, I think it's tough to paint a bearish argument for L1s, at least over the last 24 hours. I think you can for a lot of vaporware, but I find it difficult with a lot of these L1 protocols. So yeah, I kind of felt like we would push on. If there was ever going to be a chance for an altcoin season, I actually thought it was going to be, well, not an altcoin, an L1 season / maybe DeFi coin season. I thought it was maybe yesterday, and hasn't happened. Bitcoin dominance back up, which is just hilarious because I think we call for it literally every week and then nothing happens. In terms of the major movers lower, I would say there is a very common take on the timeline right now is that we are about to see many memes, many no protocol, no revenue protocols, or like no things with product market fit do badly. This whole, I mean, it perfectly is summed up by that long hype, long Bitcoin short, everything else sort of view, which I agree with. I just don't maybe agree with his basket necessarily, but I would say that yeah, like you can see that it's kind of come back a bit there, because I think there's a lot of stuff here where like you could arguably say this is going to turn and doesn't look that pretty. I think for a lot of the, you know, you have things like Tia trading at like $2 billion and is making like a couple of dollars. A lot of the gaming coins is just still in, like I said, hundreds of millions. A lot of the L1s with just like no fee revenue, no users, I think look exposed here. Now, it's very easy, I think, to get caught up in the flavor or the view of the day, because I think there have been tokenized stocks on chain before, and I don't want to like suddenly go like, oh my god, everything's going to go to zero. I think this is just a trend that's been happening anyway, though. This is not like a new bandwagon to get on. I think it's just it can really just potentially accelerate the bandwagon that we are kind of already seeing. So I think I'm not calling for like, oh my God, everything's going to zero. But I do think the pace of degradation in the bad coins will increase. And you can have a range of possibilities on that pace, but I think it will increase on the back of this. I think my hot take, conversely, is that like I do think, and I was speaking actually to Beanie about this morning, is that I think that conversely, some of the stuff with revenue and with buybacks might be re-rated higher in this sort of world. So like if I look at Hyperliquid, if I look at potentially things like Radium and Jupiter, right? Like potential, I think particularly Radium. Actually, they both have buybacks now, right? Both of those coins, things like Aave, things like I'm trying to think what else is down the list. We spoke about Syrup, which was an interesting play, but I think there is a world here where actually some of that stuff, which doesn't trade at some crazy multiple, actually could trade higher. And you could argue that some of the L1s trade higher just because network effects of people trading stocks or trading more on the back of this. But I do think that a lot of other things suddenly are called into question. So I think it's mixed. I think some people are like, oh, this is just bearish for everything. I'm more of the view that it's bearish. It's very bearish for some things, and it remains to be seen for others, basically. But I can argue that some stuff looks decent.
Isn't the bad stuff? Sorry, Mando. Kind of a question for you. Like, isn't the bad stuff finally, being bad price wise good for us overall, crypto overall? Like, meaning like these tokens or protocols that are basically useless or are garbage, kind of getting out of our way. Do you think that's like bullish long term? Is it not, for allowing people to focus on things that actually matter?
I think it is. I think it very much is. But I also think that we're starting to see slightly the death of what a crypto coin is. So when I first came into this space, it was right, they're currencies at the same time as being sometimes viewed like stocks and sometimes used as currencies. Like Bitcoin has very little revenue, right? Or at least like on these sort of metrics, after all the fees went down, after the Rune stuff, like barely any fees are being made on Bitcoin right now. It's really just mining. So, and yet Bitcoin is worth $2 trillion. So there are some, so I think you have to realize that like there is still a world here where some coins can be viewed as a store of value and a means of exchange. Now, the means of exchange stuff is being questioned a lot with stable coins because, like people like the dollar's pretty good as a form of exchange. It's like it has some, you can have some qualms about it being a store of value because it keeps on losing its value, but its ability to transfer value from one to the other, like we don't necessarily need to do that in Ethereum. We can just do that in stable coins now. But I do think that there is still an argument that we can create arguably better stores of value than some other traditional fiat coins. And I think this is going to be the big question about crypto over the next couple of decades. So like in 15 years or like in 10 years, you'll start to see Bitcoin inflation go sub 1%, right? Right now, so and that'll be a big deal. That'll be a big deal because you'll start to be like, right, well, this actually has much better inflation metrics than the dollar or most other fiat coins. And then eventually it'll keep on going. It'll be less than 0.5% and then 0.25%. And then you get like a really nice inflation metric as a coin here. Ethereum, if you go on to like ultrasound money, has gone down that route, but it's sacrificed its throughput to do it, and that's been the main question about Ethereum, I think. But you would argue that Ethereum is a better store of value than most other L1s from an inflation standpoint, and like maybe it does enough on the transaction stuff via the L2s to like maybe see it as valuable. But I think what we're now going to see basically is potentially a return back to proof of work from a number of coins. And this is me like looking through, because I think there'll be a lot more focus on inflation alongside use of the chain than there was before. And I think that you'll start to see that the coins that just focus on throughput, I think we'll start to trade at a meaningful discount, basically. So yeah, that's kind of my hot take here. Like, if you're going to be an L1 and you're trying to play for, we're actually a store of value coin here, like we're actually going after the dollar, the pound, the euro, and we're like trying to be a Bitcoin alternative, then I think you have to play that game slightly better than some of the L1s are playing. And I think that for the apps, I think it can go both ways. I think there's a good chance here that the best apps, which are consistently showing revenue, and in my eyes actually trade probably lower than where they would if they issued a stock. Like Circle shows you that, right? Like if Circle had done a coin, there's no way it would trade where it does after it did a stock, right? There's no way, which tells you that, like, I think there's a world here where some of those coins maybe start to re-rate more like stocks, but they also are a little bit exposed. Anyway, that's my rant.
I think it's a great rant. It's a more in-depth than my high-level take and reaction to all of this. I think my broad strokes takes here are that we've been bullish on the real crypto protocols that are starting to generate revenue, that have users that are growing. That's not going to change. I think you make an interesting case for the primary L1s that these companies are piling into and building on. So yesterday we've got Robinhood building on Ethereum. We've got Nikita Beer, Solana advisor, now the head of product at X. A lot of speculation that X is perhaps going to partner with Solana in some capacity. So there are bull cases for the L1s. The other aspect of this is, like, we were at the very early stages of TradFi coming into crypto. And I don't think TradFi coming into crypto means that we're going to see a huge exodus from crypto back to stocks. Like that doesn't really make sense to me, that would be the primary outcome of these new blurred lines. So I'm not buying it. And I think this is a fairly consensus take. Tokenized stocks, bullish for stocks, bearish for crypto. If you dig into what does this actually mean? They're going to say, oh, it's bearish for Celestia. Okay. I mean, who's been pounding the table that Celestia is a great buy in Q3 2025? So it's a little bit of a paperman argument. I think where this gets more interesting is perhaps in the meme game. Well, maybe not more interesting, but another sector of crypto that I believe will be impacted, particularly on the high end side. So I don't think there's much of an overlap between people who are showing up to the trenches and buying micro caps on Pump Fund at 50K market cap and those who are going to be buying NVIDIA X or SpaceX or MicroStrategy on Jupiter. I think the Venn diagram has very little overlap. But where this gets more interesting is, let's say a few of those traders hit a 1,000x. They hit a 10,000x. What are they going to rotate their gains to? Are they going to rotate to Bitcoin? Always an option. Are they going to rotate to the leading memes? Pepe, SPX, Sparkcoin. That had been a very real rotation game for this cohort of traders. Now they do have more options. So I actually think that is perhaps an impact to be seen. Does it get harder to buy Pepe at 5 billion when you've got some of these pre-IPO private market companies like SpaceX, which are also going to be trading like memes effectively as an alternative? And when you're buying Pepe at 5 billion, what's your realistic target? Like a
You're just a
2x,
legendary
3x.
Pepe hater, man. You're a legendary Pepe hater. Like, I've never seen someone hate Pepe so much. What I think is what you're saying is right. Is that, like, imagine what we had a couple months ago where Bitcoin went down to 76K, right? And all on the trade war stuff, and stocks were puking. Nvidia was down, hit like 80, I think it was. Like, every single stock just like absolutely puked. In those exact moments, and you as a crypto investor now can invest in anything, I do think that some people will go like, well, I'm not going to invest in a meme coin here. I'm going to invest in like large cap tech at the drop of a hat. So I think there's something to be said about this. Like,
There is. We're still. I think we're at the very early stages of this. And yes, I understand the take that we've had tokenized stocks on various crypto protocols before. I do feel like it's different now. Like there's more liquidity, there's bigger players. So it feels more real this time. Like there are less hurdles to go through. Like I tweeted about this yesterday. I literally could have swapped my chill house to NVIDIA on Jupiter yesterday. And that's the first time I've seen something like that. Maybe it had the capability and I just wasn't aware of it, but I don't think so. So that's a step change. The liquidity isn't great. The fees are there. I think that's only going to get better over time. I've also seen the take that folks, crypto natives won't buy stocks. And then I think Kobe chimed in that people want to trade things that they think are going higher. And I do think that is a fundamental truth of the space. Logan, you were kind of nodding along. Thoughts on this conversation?
Yeah, now, I sort of agree with both sides here. I do think, like, so you had Beanie's tweet up. I sent that to you this morning. Like, I do think it is bearish for some coins. Yes, like some things now you may not be swapping into because there are better alternatives. But I don't think it's on the contrary. I don't know if he says crypto in general, but like I don't think it's bearish crypto or anything like that because people can now trade stocks on chain. And I do know I've seen the argument about the distinguishment between, okay, well, this is what Stats was saying about, why would it be a tokenized stock platform, right? Like it's already so easy for Americans to trade most of these things already without crypto. One of the reasons that I perhaps wouldn't be making these swaps is like the tax stuff seems yucky potentially. Like it's just easier for me to keep it all in a brokerage account. So yeah, I mean, I'm on both sides here. Like I see both scenarios playing out. I think Mando walked through it really well. Like if now you can trade, NVIDIA, Tesla, whatever, on chain, other things, right, that you couldn't get access to before, maybe you don't swap into the third alt that you would have otherwise, right? Because there is a better alternative. So I think it's bearish for those garbage coins, of course. I don't think it for the better coins. I don't think it matters at all. Well, I mean, like, I don't think it's bad in any way. It's neutral to positive.
Yeah. I'm with you. I think we are fairly aligned. It's going to be interesting to see. Regardless, I think this is huge news. It's a huge step forward towards the mission of, I think, one of the fundamental missions of crypto is democratizing finance, giving anywhere in the world access to any financial product. And I think this is a big step forward in that direction. We're not there yet. It's going to take time for this to be rolled out and fully liquid and all that, but it looks like that's coming. Folks, we kind of buried the lead, but what we've been talking about is largely on the back of a huge panel product release at Cannes yesterday from Robinhood and their CEO, Vlad Tenev. I was watching the stream. I had to take notes because of just how quickly and how much they were, in fact, rolling out at this thing. So first announcement, tokenized U.S. stocks. They're going to have over 200 U.S. equities like Apple, NVIDIA, Tesla, starting 24 hours a day, 5 days a week with no fees, eventually moving to 24/7. They're going to be doing that on an Arbitrum L2, which eventually will be the Robinhood chain. So that was another announcement. They are building effectively their own chain, the Robinhood chain, They went on later in the presentation to say it's not just your traditional equities and stocks. They're also going to unlock pre-IPO secondary stocks like OpenAI and SpaceX. So that was a big one. They announced crypto perp futures, Bitcoin and ETH up to 3x to start launching in Europe. And they also announced ETH and Sol staking directly in-app for rewards for US users. Those were the headlines. They also announced a handful of other ones that I think got kind of swept under the rug, like new crypto rewards for their credit card and a new AI investing assistant called Cortex, along with the crypto deposit bonus they laid out last week. So Robinhood is going hard into crypto, and the market likes it. I'm trying to find my I'll just pull up a new browser here. Hood stock up another 3% today. It jumped 12% yesterday, now at 97 and 85 billion in market cap. Logan, I was also too, man, I'm curious for your thoughts. How big was this from Robinhood? Did it beat, was this in line with your expectations? Were you expecting this more or less?
Yeah.
And is Hood just a slam by?
I was not expecting quite this much. I had made the guess on Friday, which wasn't too much of a guess, educated, right? Because we knew they were talking about this tokenized stock platform. I didn't anticipate like many other things beyond this, but they seem to just continue to roll out. I saw some tweets yesterday about more product features than you'd get from like a crypto protocol team, like a full year they announced yesterday. So a pleasant surprise. Full disclosure, I'm a Robinhood stockholder. I was prior to this. So it's nice to see a big gain. I just this is one of those stocks that I've just been adding to dollar cost average in. It feels very much like, Elon, the everything app, right, that we thought would come. It feels very much like Robinhood has become that already pretty early. So, I'm feeling good, man. Something that caught me, and this is going to segue perhaps a little bit later in the show, but the Tom Lee stuff, he mentioned yesterday, just the convergence of traditional finance and crypto, further convergence of it with the BitMiner stuff. This is it. This is very much what Robinhood is doing. They have fully converged basically everything that they had previously with traditional equity purchases, now with crypto as well.
Man, I'm curious if you watched it and or if you have any thoughts on Hood stock as a trade. I think I caught one of the takeaways from your stream with Thread Guy was one of the big open questions out there right now is, yes, we know the trend, crypto and TradFi are merging. How do you trade that? I think you already mentioned perhaps the basket of L1s aspect of this, but are you looking at Hood stock, for example, or any other just broad takeaways if you caught the event yesterday? Oh, you're on mute.
Look, I think the two best ways to play that are probably Hood stock and Coinbase, right? Like, seems like you should just own a bit of both rather than just owning one. I think they're probably going to go, they're going to go head for head on this pretty aggressively. So I like both of those as trades. There's a world here where they continue to outperform majors for like the rest of the year, pretty comfortably. So that's just something to pay attention to.
It is. Well, they're trading at basically the same market caps. I didn't realize that. So Hood at 85, Coin at 88. They are right in line. This whole crypto stocks as a trade versus crypto majors has been another part of this ongoing conversation that's really picked up in the last few weeks, I'd say, is really where it's coming to a head. Darren has been talking about this for a little while. He's been a Hood bull. He laid out a bull case actually a year ago. And I think he went out to say he thinks Hood's got a 12x from here, meaning he thinks it's a $1 trillion stock. So lofty goals from some folks. I'm looking for that tweet. Here it is. 2x since March 6, 12x to go for the Hood gang, retweeting the $1 trillion roadmap that he's calling it from Robinhood and everything they're looking to do to expand their overall ecosystem and NAV. And one of my takeaways, I did watch it yesterday, was Vlad Tenev, the CEO, is just a powerhouse now. And of course, I think that maybe this is a little bit of narrative following price action because Hood stock's up 15%. He's out.
Look at that outfit. Look at that outfit, man.
The outfit's incredible. You may not know this if you weren't watching the stream. Everyone who was watching was hyper fanning themselves. So it was very hot in Cannes yesterday. I think Farouk confirmed this as well. He's up there with the ascot, and he's just whiteboarding. And he explained how their tokenized stocks would work explain to me like I'm 5, Eli 5. It was incredible. He whiteboarded the whole thing. I had a perfect understanding of how it was all going to work. And this is what I want my CEO to do. So I think my takeaway yesterday is I got to get some exposure to Hood stocks. I don't own any. And I'm not talking my bag just yet. And man, this thing, it's one that you're kicking yourself because a lot of folks, I think it was more, I don't think crypto stocks or stocks have been a very public part of CT, crypto Twitter. But if you had to pick a few that were top of mind, I think Hood was probably talked about more than just about anything else. I think Coinbase is always kind of thrown around, right? Man, it's up 150% year to date, 300% on the year. So it is a very, very strong token. Another strong stock that is a part of my bag, BitMiner. So Tom Lee, the new MicroStrategy of Ethereum. I tweeted about this one yesterday. It came out. It was at 14. It went all the way to, where did it go yesterday? Closed at 48. I ended up getting in around 22. So I'm up a cheeky 150% or so on the trade so far. We talked about it yesterday. I couldn't understand why it was trading at less than 250 million market cap for a new treasury play that we know they're going to plow at least 250 million in. Well, that's been fixed. Now it's already trading at 40% premium, sitting at around 350 million. So now it's a little bit, it's a trickier trade from here. If I'm being objective, I think if you are buying here, you are betting on Tom Lee finding new ways to continue to accumulate ETH. I was monitoring the spread between this and SBET.
Oh, geez.
the BitMiner SBET ratio. So SBET notably also went out and they bought another 20 million yesterday. But that thing keeps selling off. That is I do not hold any SBET. I've been watching this one closely. I do like the fact that they are showing that they're going to continue to buy. It's not translating to the market just yet, perhaps because there's a new shiny object and one that's trading at a cheaper market cap. Although BitMiner is not going to buy as much ETH, at least out of the gate. Logan, curious, you brought up Tom Lee. Curious.
Yeah. So I wrote the article about this for Decrypt yesterday. So I had a chance to watch some of the CNBC. He was on Squawk Box early in the morning yesterday. And if you take a look at the press release as well, a couple things jumped out to me. The mention of the additional features, kind of the robust activity in the Ethereum ecosystem, the ability for staking, DeFi, right? Those types of things. Why basically they had chosen Ethereum versus, just spinning up another Bitcoin treasury company. And they also asked him on Squawk Box, they're kind of pointing out, like, is this the new Bitcoin or something like that? Talking about the early nature of getting to Ethereum, as it has not risen, right? We joke about that. The price has not risen to astronomical levels, at least not alongside Bitcoin. And he kind of said yes to that, which was a little funny. But yeah, he mentions the stable coins, just how impactful that is. And much like we've spoken about before, other analysts have pointed this out as well. The expectations that all of that activity at some point, something has to flow to the underlying network. Something has to flow to the underlying token. And that's ETH here. So not out of the ordinary in terms of the case being made for why you would spin this up. But yeah, people have really rallied behind it. It's interesting to see that spread between that and SBET, because Joe Lubin said the exact same things, more or less. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Just maybe not quite as, with quite as much, I don't know, flair. I don't know how best to say it.
It's interesting that Joe Lubin is probably like a bigger power player, bigger crypto OG, but Tom Lee probably has more FaceTime, given his prevalence on CNBC. So does that make it more attractive, perhaps, to investors? Attention matters. Certainly,
I think a lot more people know about Tom Lee than they do about Joe Lubin.
Yeah.
In the broader investment community, for sure.
I think that's fair. I think it's very interesting that he's also pounding the table on the stablecoin aspect here. So the primary bull case that I'm taking away from this article, Logan, and I have not watched the full interviews yet, is that if you want to bet on stablecoins, you bet on Ethereum. Am I interpreting that correctly?
No, I think so. Yeah, and so that quote there comes from the press release, but he also says something very similar to it in the interview as well. The ChatGPT of crypto, the stablecoins of the ChatGPT of crypto. Yeah, so it's hard to argue. It really is. I mean, we've been saying those types of things for a long time. Like stablecoins make up about 51% of Ethereum. I think he mentioned. That's the largest place for stablecoin activity. Of course, Ethereum. We fully expect stablecoin growth. What did Besant say? 2 trillion. I think Tom Lee quoted that as well. 3 trillion. Yeah. I'm pretty sure he quoted that as well. Like, the Treasury Secretary is literally pointing to the fact that this is going to be a fantastical growth sector. It's hard to argue with any of those points. I mean, the case lines up. It makes a lot of sense to me. I could be talked into it very easily, yet the price doesn't really ever go anywhere.
126 billion in stable coins on Ethereum. So in the world where stables go to 3.5, you have to assume that goes up substantially. I guess they are. The counter to that would be if banks are all launching their own and they're all holding them within their own walled gardens, perhaps. But I think still a fairly consensus take that it's going to continue to grow on Ethereum. Are we concerned that we have 2 new MicroStrategies of ETH spinning up and the price is not budging in any way?
Yeah,
this is just straight sideways.
It's just sideways, right? Like it's been sideways for a long time now. I think ETH is, I think the important chart is just that ETH versus Bitcoin, which is kind of not looking terrible, I would say. Like at least since April, if you bring that up. But Bitcoin's been sideways too, really, largely, right?
Yeah. So it's a matter of what's going to break us out. And we kind of jumped over a few of the macro headlines. One was Elon was throwing effectively a tantrum yesterday. Maybe not a tantrum, maybe the wrong word. He's saying that if the big beautiful bill passes, he's starting the America Party the next day. And Tesla investors do not like that. It was down 5%. And then Powell this morning was basically saying they're still expecting inflation to print higher this summer. They're not in any kind of a rush to cut rates. So I think he's kind of hitting the brakes on any hope rate cut in July. Still a 21% chance on the CME futures. I think folks still betting heavily on September. Yeah, 94% chance now in September. So it looks like it's coming, but it may not come this summer. Does that mean we're in for more chop in our beloved crypto majors? Feels like probably, I guess, is my read. If I had to bet all-time high this week or 107K on Fridays, probably 107 is going to be my outlook here. So we'll continue to see. But
that was the highest ever monthly close for Bitcoin right there. So,
oh yeah, you did. So I missed that one. That's a big milestone.
I think we have to put in perspective. This isn't terrible where we're at right now, but yeah, those are big headlines, and to see that the market isn't ripping off the back of them is probably not a good sign for, like, those were the potential things that could come out before September in my eyes that would really like set us through all-time highs, and now it feels like just haven't really had the same reaction. So maybe it'll really just be like rate cuts, which I think people are now expecting for September.
Yeah, I think that's what's hard to see is like Robinhood comes out, has all these announcements, stock pumps 15%. Great. That Robinhood announcement, they're building on Arbitrum, EVN, no impact to Ethereum. 2 new micro strategies building Ethereum corporate treasuries. No upwards momentum. Sol staking ETF starts trading tomorrow. Brief spike to 159, and it's already totally reversed. And in fact, is now down 4% on the day. That's a rough reversal for Solana there. No way to sugarcoat it. But perhaps a sign of hope for the Solana, the Sol Maxis out there. Nikita Beer, who is an advisor to Solana. He's also an advisor in the Launchcoin ecosystem, I believe, for the Believe app fam. He's posted his way to the top. He's head of product at X. That is a big position. Now there's rumblings, given his ties to Solana, if we will see perhaps X make the choice to partner with Sol. Logie, I see you nodding your head. Do you have takes on this or reactions?
I definitely get the jump. I for sure see it. He has danced around crypto in many ways, right? Teasing us from time to time, like the Launchcoin stuff. Remember, he was going to launch a coin via Launchcoin before it was Launchcoin, right? When it was Clout, I believe.
That's right.
No pun intended there. So I think this is interesting. I don't know what else to say. I mean, you can't draw any distinct conclusions from this is definitely going to involve Solana. It's definitely going to do this, but the ties make sense. So I'm all here for the speculation. X has the opportunity. I think he says in there, it's, the most powerful social network. I think most of us agree that's, where most of our time is spent. Your platforms have been built tremendously as well. So I fully expect we'll see some sort of X crypto financialization crossover at some point. Whether it comes via Nikita and Solana is, remains to be seen, but I can see the lines being drawn.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think Launchcoin pumped on the back of that, at least briefly. It's probably back down now just with the broader market. Let's take a look. Down 10% now, 124. It did hit like 140, 150 or so yesterday. Quick look on the meme board overall. It's been quiet out there. The biggest story still is Blankai and his useless token. This thing hit 210 million yesterday. It's sold off now back to 180. But this one continues to be the latest hot runner. Mano, I'm curious what your thoughts on this. We haven't really even talked about it, which I think is also notable. But on Friday, Pump Fund dropped their Pump Fund 2.0 announcement. This shiny new app with a few new features, this tap to ape capability, a new news section. And I didn't see anyone on my timeline talking about it. I think if you rewind the clock 6 months, the influencers, the KOLs are tripping over their feet to be the first one to repost this, to make content about it, and yet it's been crickets out there. I'm curious if you've noticed the same thing, and if there's any takeaways from that. They're still on mute.
I think that's just a sign of the times, though, more than anything, right?
Yeah.
Like, it feels like I think Pump Fund probably does have to consider what it needs to do here a little bit in terms of its position. It's obviously still making over $1.5 million a day, but what we spoke about is quite a big thing for them, right? They are effectively middleware, and they needed to, because no one went on Pump Fund. Maybe some of the streaming stuff has picked up, but we're not the hottest streams on Pump Fund get 50 to 100 viewers. I think they have to do this. Pump Fund needs to become more than what it is right now in crypto. So this source of analysis / entertainment potentially is what they're going to do. I don't know. Maybe this will work. I still haven't spent any time on Pump Fund recently. I don't know if you have, but apart from maybe tuning into the odd Gainsy stream, it's not somewhere I'm spending my time.
I'm not either. And I don't think it's great momentum headed into a token launch.
Did you ever download the app, Tyler?
No, but I'm not a mobile trader.
Yeah, no, I get it. I downloaded it just for research purposes while I was writing a piece. I mean, it did seem to operate pretty smoothly, but same thing. I mean, I'm not trading those on mobile very often, and at the time, I was actually making use of something like Vector instead, which I felt like had legs up. I don't know at this point in time, with these feature additions, if it still would, but.
What do you think it means for their token? So, assuming it comes out at a $4 billion valuation, do you think does this change the buy thesis? Or I guess, Logan, I don't know if we ever even talked about it. Like, are you planning to buy the pump token? Let's say it launches next week at $4 billion, and it's unlimited, uncapped pre-sale, no gas war. You can buy as much as you want.
At $4 billion?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I would. I don't know. I wouldn't be buying heavily. It does feel like something that could do the real quick rip. I don't think I'd want to be sitting in very long. Like I wouldn't want to be buying at $4 billion with the thoughts of holding for the next year or something like that.
Interesting. Logan, not a pump fund bull. I'm trying to pull up their numbers.
Really interesting time for that coin to come out, right? Because it's one of the classic ones around token revenue. It like actually earns revenue. So like you could argue in some ways, hey, this is the time where stock people might look at this and be like, hey, this is an interesting thing to own, or in terms of valuation, because maybe it looks cheap on a multiple basis. At the same time, it feels like their product is being challenged by what we just saw. So the idea of just constant meme coins feels like it's maybe being challenged as like a business model in general. And it's kind of past the peak generally already of like complete mania in meme coins. So I just get the feeling that it's like it's not an easy call, basically. At 4 billion, I wouldn't say it's some slam dunk trade, basically, either way.
Yeah. It's this tale of two worlds. I think you nailed it. It's the best time to be launching for a revenue generating app, but the future outlook for memes is weaker now than it has been. And it's also summer, and people just aren't. And like the meme market always kind of lulls in the summertime. So I'm looking at the 30-day numbers: 64 million in fees from Pump Fund, right around 1/3 of what Circle did. Circle's trading at 40 billion. I still think it's a buy at 4 billion. And I think you're looking for a 2 to 3x upside on that trade.
Yeah.
Probably an early spike.
Sorry. That's what I think. I think early spike makes sense. It gives me that feel. I don't know why. I mean, that's not atypical of crypto, right? To like these early, call it a token sale or whatever. You get that initial surge a lot of the time, followed by, sometimes sharp sell-offs. I was just scrolling through like the tokens around that market cap right now, and that wouldn't. It's selling at a 4 billion FDV. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah, 4 billion FDV.
So it's tough. It's harder to sort by. I guess I can sort by FDV. It's not that weird. Like as far as the tokens go, and this isn't some outstanding quantitative analysis, but anecdotally, taking a look at the tokens around that range, like I could see why Pump Fund would make sense there, and even had some room to the upside, but how much further? I don't know. It does feel like it's limited a little bit. It seems weird to say that it's limited a little bit by the fact that it's Solana. Like you also probably need like Solana to do well, right? Like for the pump token to do well. I don't know. I mean, I think it's fine there. I'm just not like jumping out of my shoes excited to participate in that instance.
So Aves did 48 million in fees in the last month. 30% below pump at 64. So kind of the same ballpark. Aave has bullish outlook perhaps because of Robinhood bringing stocks on chain, saying stocks are going to be integrated within EVM DeFi. It's at 4 billion FTV. But that's also down substantially from not really down that much from all-time high. So it's down 2x from all-time high. So Aave all-time high is around 8 billion. So yeah, I'm thinking through this live on the stream because I'm still making up my mind how I want to play this potential token launch, and I still think I'm going to be a buyer at 4 billion FTV. I think the final details will matter, around circulating unlocks, what the airdrop, all that looks like. I still think it's a buy at 4 billion. Maybe we'll see. Maybe we'll get those details here soon. Probably not this week, but maybe as soon as next week. Well, folks, that really went through the list of items I wanted to talk about on today's show. No YEET giveaways. We weren't able to pull those off. We will be doing 2 tomorrow, 1 Thursday, 2 on Friday. YEET is pulling in record daily revenue. 10 million came in yesterday.
Record daily. Oh God. Sorry, I think I keep on getting muted. Record daily volume. Record daily volume.
Record daily volume. Wow.
Yeah, that was
during summer. I think it is notable during summer too, because you think in general this would be a time perhaps when folks would be pumping the brakes a bit. So kudos to you and the team. Those the ethos bearish reviewers in shambles. While they continue.
Yeah, I don't know how that's managed to be a hot topic. Like, I just saw it this morning. I was like, oh, okay, fair enough. Always a good sign when ethos people are talking up your casino, though, right? Like to see a thread on the fact that it's a good thing, I was like, oh, that's quite nice from the ethos guys.
It's better than not being talked about at all. I think one could always make the case, but
for sure.
Kudos to you and the team, folks. That's going to be it. That is our show. We're going to do Underexposed here in another hour. So join us 12 p.m. Eastern, longer macro talk. We're going to go deeper into Robinhood. We're going to talk about hype, how hype is impacted with Dees, who's been a hype whale for a while. So tune in for that. Otherwise, we'll be back tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern. Farouk should be back with us if his travel goes smoothly. I want to thank all of our listeners. I want to thank our partners. I want to thank my co-hosts. And we will see you all tomorrow. Go have a beautiful day. Goodbye.